read the Bible, you'll find out that God's not too happy with what's going on around us.
Redeem the time, because the days are evil.
The Bible has not changed.
Boldly proclaim the restoration and preservation of Christian values in America.
Satan has brainwashed a whole nation.
As goes the church, so goes the nation.
Nobody's convicted of anything anymore.
And now, here's Last Call with your host, B.J. Edwards.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. Lighting a candle. B.J. Edwards along with Mr. Anderson. This is your last call, folks. Interesting times. May you live in interesting times. Old Chinese proverb. We've got a great show today, as usual. Michele Swinick's going to join us the first hour, and we're going to talk about body health. We spend a lot of time talking about political health and spiritual health, but the body, that's what we're living in. And if it's broken down and the wheels aren't working right, how can you do that?
Hard to be a doer when you can't do.
This is attributed to Thomas Jefferson, although there's questions about it, but it doesn't make any difference. A government big enough to give you everything you want is a government big enough to take everything you have.
You'll own nothing and be happy.
Mm-hmm. You got
Heard that somewhere.
Yep. It's obvious how much trouble we're in morally and legally and spiritually. It's just absolutely crazy. Hey, this week as is my wont, the town that I live in, area that I live in. Here's a headline from the town that I live, the area that I live in. And it says, tree huggers invited to Alum Creek. Okay. This is in the area that I live in. This is the same area that the city council passed an ordinance that if a child, if you're a psychiatrist or a psychologist and you're treating patients in this city, in this area, you cannot, this is an ordinance, if they're transgender or queer or gay or whatever, you cannot tell them that what they're doing has an option, a natural option. You can't tell them that.
Well, trees are nature. They're natural.
Yeah, they are. And that's, I verse after verse in the Bible tells us how much we should be hugging them and marrying them, probably, right?
Somebody made that up.
So anyway, in this environment, we have churches. Matter of fact, a lot of churches, some huge, some medium, some small. This week, to honor Charlie Kirk, I started calling the churches in the area. And I said, who in your organization is going to, or is developing a interest in celebrating Charlie Kirk's life, especially this Sunday, where there's a lot of celebration going on. And of the dozen or so churches I talked with, none were interested or had anybody that was doing anything like that. No, I did this so I could come on this program and talk about the churches. These are the same churches, by the way, that 2 or 3 years ago, I don't know whether you can see this or not, I asked them to put the sign, vote biblically, in their yards. And that was a couple dozen. You know how many put those signs in their yard, vote biblically? Yeah, you're right, 0. So I'm trying to make a point. They're not going to do the Charlie Kirk celebration of life. They're just not going to do it. So I'm getting, okay, I got this down. This is what I need. And then I'm going, well, wait a minute. should there be a celebration of life for Charlie Kirk this Sunday? And I'm going, yeah. In this city, yeah. So is there anybody that thinks that? I'm going, well, other than me. And then I went, oops. Guess who got tapped on the shoulder? Guess who got tapped on the shoulder? So I'm going to help conduct a celebration of life in our local community of Charlie Kirk. And one of the things I'm going to do is I'm going to ask folks what kind of a impact Charlie Kirk had on their lives before and after. Because he was lighting the candle, folks. He was creating an environment where Christian thoughts, Christian ideals, and Christian leaders could get traction in the marketplace of ideas. He did not stay in the Bible. Took one with him, but he wasn't staying in the Bible, the Bible closet. Where you go to church, you talk about the Bible, you may go to a Bible study on Wednesday, but you just kind of ignore what's going on in society. You're not going to be salt and light, which has brought us to where we are today in America, folks. We are an absolute moral mess. Here's some headlines. Our national response must focus on foundations, not retribution. Amen. Amen. 95 House Democrats joined their GOP colleagues on Friday in supporting a resolution to honor the late conservative influencer Charlie Kirk and condemn his assassination. But there were some that did not. And that's okay. That's okay. We're not asking you to mandatory celebrate Charlie Kirk. I get that. But to stomp on his grave and despair him, which a few on the other side did, is unconscionable. Is that who we are as Americans, folks? Is that really who we are? Yet, folks are celebrating that. Folks were celebrating Charlie Kirk's death.
There's something about a word that we tried to teach our children called respect.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, whether you agree or disagree, there is a form of respect that you show people, especially when you see some are grieving, some are not. But those who are grieving, come on, show some respect.
Reactions to Jimmy Kimmel's suspension spark more free speech debate.
That's a weird thing. Yeah. It's another distraction.
Yep. New report reveals Soros Open Society funneled $80 million to pro-terror groups. Israel is committing genocide. A new UN ruling solidifies the obvious. U.S. vetoes UN resolution urging immediate ceasefire hostage release in Gaza. What is the matter with us? Germany. A sign in Germany. Jews are forbidden here. Germany. Juden haben Herr Haverbot. A shop owner in Flensburg, northern Germany, has sparked outrage after having a sign in his store window reading, "Jews are forbidden here." He claimed it was a protest against Israel's military operations in the Gaza Strip. Then you got the COVID vaccine. It's going to be interesting. Wonder what Michelle, our first guest, thinks about the COVID vaccines. Hepatitis B. You know, the number of vaccinations that our children get exposed to is absolutely insane. CDC advisors postpone vote on changing vaccine schedule, but they're not doing anything very strong and very quickly. Hidden vaccine data and hospitals remain dangerous places. And this one I still don't understand. GOP circling the wagons around the Epstein files. Thomas Massey, I love this dude. Thomas Massie is mounting a charge to obtain enough Republican votes in the House to pass the amendment releasing the files, the threats, and intimidations of Johnson and Trump notwithstanding. Massie has been the greatest congressman since Ron Paul left office. This is from an article. And not surprisingly, he is Trump's #1 target for defeat in his re-election next year. Let me repeat that. He's Trump's #1 target for defeat in his re-election next year. Trump is using his influence among Kentucky Republicans to help oust the courageous congressman. In addition, Trump has called in reinforcements from his Jewish billionaire buddies to toss millions of dollars to defeat Massie, one of whom is named in the Epstein files. What a coincidence. As goes the family, so goes the church. As goes the church, so goes the nation. Any questions? We have enough examples. Any questions? We're going to take a break, Mr. Anderson. After the break, we're going to bring Michele Swinick in. And Michele is very active in the culture war. Had some extended experience in election. And we can talk a little bit about that. But more so, we're going to talk about health of this nation. And that video, Mr. Anderson, from our Secretary of Health, if you have that handy, maybe play that before we bring Michele on.
Will do.
Okay. Ship shape. Where are we in America? Wow. I mean, morally and physically, we're an absolute mess. BJ Edwards along with Mr. Anderson. This is your last call. Michele Swinick coming up in the second hour. Darbi will be here. An incredible activist.
Trump did nothing, at least in my presence, that would be cause for concern. He was always a perfect gentleman, an elegant dancer, a gifted poet. He spoke Cantonese fluently. At one point he threw a football 300 yards and it somehow boomeranged back to him. I saw a grizzly bear charge him and he delivered such a withering barb that it retreated in shame. One night Donald performed an emergency tracheotomy on Bill Gates, saving his life. He did a chiropractic adjustment on Stephen Hawking, and Professor Hawking was able to skip all the way home. The point is, the man is a saint, and I would like to not be in prison.
Last call with BJ Edwards. Real talk about real life.
Epidemic. We are now the sickest country in the world. We announced this week, CDC announced that 76.4% of Americans are suffering a chronic disease. And my uncle was president, it was 11%. In 1950, it was 3%. And we're the sickest country in the world. We have the highest chronic disease burden of any country in the world. And yet we spend more on healthcare than any country in the world. We spend 2 to 3 times what European nations spend. We spend nearly as much in our country for healthcare as all the other nations in the world combined. And yet we have the worst health outcomes. We've lost 6 years in lifespan and longevity to Europe in the past 20 years. Our kids, our girls are hitting puberty 6 years earlier than historically. Our young men have sperm counts that are half of what they ought to be. They have testosterone levels that are half of what they ought to be. We have diabetes that is now endemic, not just epidemic, it's everywhere. 38% of teens are now diabetic or pre-diabetic. When I was a kid, it was 0. And the autism rates, which the president is particularly concerned with, have dropped from less than 1 in 10,000 in 1970 to 1 in every 31 kids today. So this is a national security issue. 8 out of 10 of our children of our young men cannot qualify for military service. It's national security, it's our economy, it's wrecking. This is an existential crisis for our country.
Absolutely amazing. I read an article the other day where the more we pay our public educational teachers, the less our children learn. Michele Swinick, come on down.
Good morning,
Welcome
my
to Last
friend. How
Call.
are you? Thank you so much for having me on.
I'm
It's good to
blessed.
see
I'm
you.
blessed. We're going to talk about healthcare. Tell us a little bit about yourself and what got you into what you're doing right now, Michele.
What got me here? Our wonderful election system operation. So that's how JR and I met. I was investigating the 2022 elections for the past 2.5 years, which then rolled into 2020, 2024, exposed all that. No one seemed to care with the facts and the evidence. So after the 2024 election was done, I realized that it had destroyed my health, my finances, my mental capacity. And I was at the point where I could barely get out of a chair without trying to like brace myself before I get up. The chronic pain, the inflammation. I'm going to show you a picture. You're going to go, you've got to be kidding me. It was at the point where I didn't know what to do. And I came across a friend of mine introduced me to a line of products that literally not only changed my life, but saved my life. So I'm on a mission to let the world know that you do not have to live in chronic pain. You do not have to be on medication because you cannot be great at anything. You can't show up for your family. You can't show up for yourself. You can't be a good parent, a good student, a good employer, a good employee. You can't be a good talk show host, a podcaster, if you're sick, tired, toxic, broke, or dependent. And you don't have to live that way. And to give you a success story, for the first time in a year this month, I have absolutely no pain. And it was a shock to me because I figured, okay, maybe it's going to come back. Okay, maybe it's going to come back. Maybe when I step out of bed in the morning and I feel like I'm walking on knives. We get out of a chair, I feel like I'm stepping on knives. And it's just one of the many, many issues that have been resolved by putting true nutrition, which you just saw, that's the major problem here in the United States, into my body. I forgot what it was like to not be in pain. And that was the reality check for me that said, you know what, I know that I'm on the right path, that I'm supposed to be doing this. And because I got so used to what I'm used to that I forgot what it was like to be normal. And I know that 76.4% of Americans who are suffering from a chronic disease are so used to being in that lifestyle and having those issues that it just becomes their normal way. And that's not normal. And then once you get out of that, it's like anything else. You get out of that environment, you go, oh my God, I forgot what it was like to live the way you're supposed to be lived, the way that God designed your body to function. And it was a real crazy reality check last Sunday when I decided to go for a walk. I took a break. It's very hot here. So I went to go take my morning walk and I went, okay, is this a joke? Like there's no pain, no effort, no nothing. I was even faster. I got further along and I'm like, I'm already here. I'm already at the stop sign. What? Because it wasn't an effort. It was effortless. There was no pain. It was enjoyable for the first time in that I started doing this walking journeys that I started in January, because it does, depending on how much abuse you've done to yourself and you've let yourself go, it takes a little bit of time to get all of everything, quote unquote, back to normal. And I did it for 2.5 years hardcore. I worked real hard at making sure that I abused myself because all I did was work and I didn't take care of myself. And you could turn it around. And more importantly, you need to do it for your family. So I want to go over some of those statistics that RFK Jr. did and put things into perspective, because your whole show's about family.
Yep.
And we're asking the family to do certain things. But when I realized these statistics, these came out last week or about a week and a half ago. And I said, you know what? here's the problem. The family's not capable of doing the things we ask them to do. And as you said, I've been in quite of an activist role for the past 4 years, being in the political realm, right? And I'm expecting people to go to a meeting and to take a stand and to get vocal and to get loud. And 76.4% of Americans have a chronic disease. Most of them can't go do that.
Even if they could, Michele, continuing to do that would be an issue as well if you don't have the health to do it. Do we have the before picture, Mr. Anderson? I don't know whether we have that.
And number eight. Number eight.
Yeah, if you can get there. Number 8. Yeah. So now we have Olympian Michele Swinick.
Yeah. This is a before. The before is on the right. Now that is October. Why I picked October? I started doing the products in January when I decided that I hit rock bottom in December. So I looked worse in December, but I couldn't find a picture without me having a hat on because I've always got the hat on. So I needed to find one that was similar because I wanted it to be as close as to a recent picture so that you guys can see the comparison. Now, this is minimal activity when it comes to exercise. The weight loss between the two, go ahead. I want to, because I'm putting things into perspective for people on how important it is to have the proper nutrition in your body, and you cannot get it from food. We're going to show you some slides and go over some statistics because that's proven. How much weight do you think is between the two? I mean, I looked much worse and felt much worse in December. That was the rock bottom for me.
I won't talk to a woman about weight or age.
No, okay, I'm asking you. I'm asking you.
I'm not going to say. I'm not going to.
Because you're going to get it wrong. But go ahead, throw out a number. I want you to go. Somebody told me yesterday 30 pounds. What do you think the difference is? That
would be high. 30 pounds. Yeah, I'd go with that.
Okay, it's 4. 4 pounds is the difference because everyone's wait. That's an example of good nutrition. Because this is the first time I've been on diets my whole life. I'm a woman and I'm 52 now. So of course I've been on diets my whole life. So the diets that I normally go on are like starvation diets, right? Because those are the ones that work the best because you just don't eat, right? You just eat like, ooh, strawberry. That's because these are like these are ones that the doctor tells you to take, right? Then you take, whatever things that they tell you to do. But that is the difference there. There's minimal activity for exercise because it hurt too bad to do it. And I was doing it, but I was only doing 3,000-4,000 steps when you're supposed to do 7 to 10. And I'm not going to ever go to a gym because there's enough heavy stuff to lift at home. You don't have to pay for that. So it's called chores. So then, but I want people to see the difference. That's nutrition. That is the only difference that I had is nutrition supplementation. Because you can't get it from food. That supplementation difference. That's the difference between the two. That's what I want people to get their arms around because I never did it that way before. I always just did starvation, dropped like 10, 20 pounds, and then gained it back, right? This, I did it the right way for the first time in my whole life. And look at the difference. That speaks wonders right there. Now, could you imagine if you were able to do that for your whole family? How productive, how amazing your family could be. Because let's just talk about the kids for a second, okay? I don't have children, so I didn't realize how bad it was. I heard the statistics, 1 out of 31 kids have autism. 1 out of 31. So you might actually have 2 kids in your house that are autistic, all right? Or if you and your brothers and sisters have kids, so that they got cousins, you're almost guaranteed in some of these, depending on how it works, that you've got 1 or 2 within your family, right? And that's a big burden on the family when it comes to what it does to the rest of the family unit in just having extra things to do and expenses, right? And then what does that do that wears on everybody in the family? So everything's off balance. Everything's off balance. You got 38% of kids that are teenagers that are diabetic or pre-diabetic.
Amazing.
What?
Amazing.
Whoa. Okay. So you've got, let's just say you're a husband and wife. You go ahead and you're both working. You got 3 kids. One's autistic. One's got diabetes. Both parents probably have some sort of chronic disease. Husband might have a little bit anger issue, right? Because he's home with them and she's not home from work yet. She comes home. He's like, where's dinner? She's like, I just got home. You've been home for an hour. What do you? And then, hey, honey, somebody sent us an email. They want us to go to the meeting to get involved in the community. that's the furthest thing from their mind is getting involved in the community. Right. So we want to get the people involved in the community. We got to get them healthy so they can go get involved in the community, so they can make that as a priority, because all the other stuff is not so overwhelming to them where they're like, the furthest thing from my mind is getting involved with my community. I'm trying to just survive in my own household.
Amazing.
Right.
Yeah.
So when we think about it that way, how we wonder why people aren't active and we're not as involved, right? So we think, if you ever go, because I was a precinct committee man for 4 years, so I'm sure people that come on your show you're active in the community, right?
Mm-hmm.
Most of the people are retired, or their kids are grown and out of the house, okay? Because they have the extra time. But if we would really want it to work, okay, you really want people involved. You want people going to church. Now, look at this family example that I gave you. You want them to go to church on Sunday? You're lucky that she can go ahead and make sure that everybody's not like, have complete chaos in the house. No, let's get everybody rounded up to take them to church on Sunday. See what I mean? And because when you don't have the proper nutrition and you're putting in, like you said, the vaccines, oh my God, I don't even know how these children are still alive. Okay. I don't know what 80 some, 90 some vaccines that they're taking. I have no idea how that they're still alive. I really don't.
It's important because, like the hepatitis B for newborns, I mean, they're obviously going to have multiple sex partners, the next week or the next month. So you have to have that. They have to have the hepatitis B. And I'm sure the same type of logic.
Yeah,
we're going to take a break here in about 3 minutes. Just an FYI for you. And I want to get into the products that you recommend, that you took. But we have a situation where we have a young lady that is just getting ground down. And a lot of this had to do with a physical problem that she didn't even know she had. She was just, look, as men and or women, we have the incredible ability to adapt to things and get into the habit of adapting to things, and then get into, well, okay, now I can no longer do this, and now I can no longer do that. And okay, I'm worn out. I have a lot of people will show up for the first meetings, but then they won't show up for the second meetings and the third meetings, or they show up for the task. And I think a lot of that has to do with the energy level. The energy level, by the way, can affect your attitude. As a matter of fact, it has an incredible effect upon your attitude. And like, I need to do this, but I just don't have the energy to finish it.
Right. And you can't be good at anything. You can't be great at anything. You can't do what you think you need to be doing. You can't do what God brought you to do on this planet if you're sick, tired, toxic, broken, dependent. You just can't. Amen. You can't do it. How are you supposed to show up for other people who need you most if you can't even show up for yourself?
Especially your family. Mr.
Your family needs you. Yeah.
Yep. Let's take a break, and when we come back, I want to get more specifics in terms of the product you're using and what you might recommend for this situation or that situation. Michele Swinick, Olympian.
Oh, I'm getting there. Again, this is a before. You're going to see a before and during picture. That was a before and during, not after, because I'm not finished. Oh, I'm not finished.
Amen. Let's take a break, Mr. Anderson.
Last call with BJ Edwards. Real talk about real life.
And we are back with Michele. Mr. Anderson, I don't know whether you have any pictures that we need to post right now.
I have number 3. Put up number 3 because I want people to put this I want this imprinted in their brains. Because everybody needs to understand that we are being poisoned through our food, water, air, medication, and media.
Yeah.
Okay. So from the moment that you are getting out of bed, and this is while you're sleeping too, but let's just focus on your waking hours while your eyes are wide open. You're being poisoned. before you even get out the door, you're being poisoned by your food, water, air, medication, and of course your media. The media you could control, you could turn that stuff off. The other stuff you can somewhat, but you have to be, it's like we're going to battle before we even start our day that has anything to do with what our normal daily routine is. Okay. So we're already going in the negative before we even get out of bed and put our feet on the ground because we're being attacked. Okay, by the very people that we pay to protect us. Look at number 4. Pull up number 4, because I want to look at these statistics too. All right, now this is very interesting because these are from 2010. That's the last time I could find something in this category. So go figure with that. Could you imagine how much worse it is? But you got 85 of Americans don't consume. Now, the U.S. Food and Drug Administration, their numbers, their statistics and expectations are low. Okay, so they're bare because they want you to be at the bare minimum. So that's on the low end. 85% don't get the recommended dose. Okay, because they are affecting. They have manipulated the food. Okay, so you can't even get organic now because organic's not even organic. So in 1960, 1 orange, 1 cup, 1 ear of corn, 1 cup of wheat. Okay. That was how your grandparents or parents grew up. 2010, look what it takes to get the same amount of nutrients. 8 oranges, 80 cups of spinach, 19 ears of corn, 2 cups of wheat. You can't put that much food in your body because you can't even get it from food. And one of the reasons why, look at number 5. Look at number 5. Number 5, this is what they're doing to you. They're literally poisoning you. Yeah, 5's got the hazmat suits on. So when they're going ahead and like, those are the crops you're eating, right? Those are your veggies, right? This is what they're doing. Okay. So, that's what you're eating, guys. And they're doing that now with organic and what all this other funky stuff, Bill Gates and all his friends and whatever. But here's one. And you're thinking, okay, well, if the parents are 76.4% in general, it's probably most of them are adults or have a chronic disease. You think that their kids are eating okay? No, look at number 6. Look at the kids' statistics. These little kids, and not this, on top of this, they've been vaccinated. These kids, they don't stand a chance. They literally, it's like we are sacrificing our own children in every single way. Okay. Right. So you've got more than 50% of American children don't get enough vitamins, right? You got vitamin D, you got E. 25 don't get enough calcium, magnesium, and vitamin A. How do you want them to actually grow up and have the capacity to do the things that they need to do when they're not getting the fuel to give them the things that God intended them to actually grow into? Right? They can't. We're producing little human beings that are half the capacity that they are designed to be. That's not even fair to them.
Until we start
including their mental capacity.
Until we start putting vitamins in vaxes, we're not going to be able to cure this.
Well,
Great point.
Yeah, right. But that's the thing is but the parents have control over this, right? And society needs to step in. The people that actually, the people that are watching this show, the people that have microphones, the people that are in an adult capacity that have stepped up to the plate to help them themselves have now a responsibility to tell people in their family, to tell others that there are solutions out there. So you don't have to, even the ones that have the 76.4% of Americans that are suffering a chronic disease, you don't have to have that anymore. You really don't. You just have to make the decision to do the right steps, to get on the right supplements, because you all have to supplement. You don't. I never supplemented. I supplemented half. I piecemealed my products because I saw this on a podcast. I saw this. Somebody said this. That doesn't work. You need a set. Okay. You need a set. You start with a set. You do a 30-day servicing of your body like you do for your car, and you just get out those toxins. You pour in that plant-based nutrition, and then your body starts to get used to it. It starts to actually acclimate. I watched the progression from myself when I started on these products here. These are Live Pure products, right? They're whole health nutrition supplement systems, whole raw foods, plant-based substances. Right. And it's a 7-system process that you start with. Then you go down to about 3 products in the following month. and you can add on as many as you want. I went overboard because my issues were so bad. The pain was so bad. But within a couple days, the sharpshooting pain was gone. And then over time, because your body got the nutrients that God needs it to get in there, because he designed an amazing machine here. And we just have taken it for granted. But there is some times where you've gotten to the point where, like for my mom died of colon cancer. Okay. And this was in 2016. So she let it go so bad that no matter at that point, when we got the news, but we finally went to the hospital and they're like, you just got 3 weeks. I'm like, oh, okay, great. That's awesome. Thank you. You get to the point where you can't pull it back, but you don't let it get that far. You don't have to let it get that far that you have to go do the chemos and the treatments and all that kind of stuff. I'm using a drastic example, but these little things, but they're not little, they feel huge. They felt huge to me. They can be solved when your body gets the nutrition it wants. My menopause symptoms, gone. Hot flashes, beyond belief. It was horrible. I'm like, why aren't more people talking about this? I had no idea. It's like somebody hit you in the back of the head with 140 degree like flamethrower, but it's coming out from the inside. That's all gone. Okay. And it's just, those things just don't go away after you only have them for 6 months, because your body is now in balance. The hormones are in balance. For mental health, depression, anxiety, anger issues. The list is so long, but you got to try. Okay. You got to try. You can't throw your hands up in the air. And I know it's a lot easier to just pop one pill, but one pill leads to another pill, because people that are at least 50 years old and older, they're on at least 5 medications, the average person. Because you got to take one, which then results to another to counter out the side effects of the other. Now you're on 5. And then you're not playing with a full deck of cards with anything. And you don't want to have to live like that, because you don't have to. I didn't take any medication when I had all these issues, because I'm like, I'm not going to do that. But then I also didn't have a solution. So I didn't think, well, how am I going to solve this problem? Because I've got major issues here with inflammation, chronic pain that's like sharp shooting pain all day. And how am I going to fix it? So I was lucky enough, a friend of mine introduced me to these products. So my solution was there, but thank God that they did, because I was like, I didn't come up with a plan B, because I didn't want to live like that. So my point is, you don't have to. So Betty's got a question, I'm sure.
Yeah. Betty, comment, question?
Oh, no, I'm sorry.
You were unmuted. I'm sorry. I'll take you out of there. I want to get into specifics in terms of the products that you're taking, how folks might be able to get to some sort of a website where they can start participating.
Well, pull up slide 9. So I want to show you just some of the illnesses, the chronic issues that I personally had a difference with. Okay. This is just lab results. I didn't have lab results, but in general, that's what does happen. Reduction or elimination of medication. This is just my personal experience. The weight loss, the elimination of pain, more energy, better focus, mental balance, right? That's huge nowadays, because people are just off kilter for many, many reasons. But the balance, hormones, inflammation, look at that. All of that, that's just for me. So what I want people to do is my website, savemyfreedom.us. My pinned post has all the information about the products. It has multiple videos in there. But what I want you to do is I want you to look at that. I want you to read it. I want you to look at the videos. And then the ones with the statistics that are all in there with the RFK video, I'm going to go ahead and release that today. So I want you to subscribe to the savemyfreedom.us. So that's our Substack. So you'll be getting information about all of this and more health tips, because that's my focus. That's my focus. I prayed on this for a long time, and I believe that's what I'm supposed to be doing. And because of what I personally went through, what my mom went through, I would have loved to be able to give my mom the option to have these products, because she might, I don't know if she'd still be around, but maybe she would have lasted a little bit longer, right? And it would just been, it would have been great to have an option. But I want you to go and subscribe, so then you have the information. That post that I'm going to release today has all of these statistics that we're talking about today and the video. But I want you to call me, okay? I want you to call me if you want to go ahead and start with the product. The first product that you start with is called the Core Plus, all right? And all the information's on the Substack. And it's the 7 products. You start with that. You do that for 30 days, okay? 30 days, and you're going to notice a difference. Sometimes people happens within a couple days. I noticed a difference within a couple days. If it doesn't work for you, and you could return it, 30-day money back guaranteed. But if you want, I will introduce you to our Facebook page so you could see the tens of thousands of testimonials that are on there of people that have issues, that are diabetes are gone. The rheumatoid arthritis is gone. The laundry list of things, the anger issues, the depression, the anxiety, those are actually really big ones. And that happens. That's always great for the family and for the husband and wife issues, right? But I'm going to guide you through this. I'm going to help you through it. I am going to answer your questions. I'm going to check on you. If you're on the products, make sure you're doing okay. So I want you to call me and go over these questions. I don't want you to do this alone. And you're not supposed to do this alone. This is not, I'm just going to do it. I'm going to give it a try. No. I want, if you're serious about changing your health, changing your family's health, I want you to do it the right way, because I did it the right way and it worked. And if I would have not had the support to like, okay, how's it going? You have any questions with the products? Maybe we need to make a slight adjustment. Maybe we need to, because we have 450. Keep this in mind, guys. If you think, oh, this is another product, this is another gimmick, this is another supplement. No, it is not. Okay. This company's been around for 18 years. 30 years before that, for the past 30 years before that, they had clinical studies and they used this in a clinical practice. That's why they started putting these products out to the people, because they wanted more people to get helped with the products. After 30 years of being in a clinical practice in Korea, that's where all this stuff originally came from. We have 450 health providers prescribing and recommending these products to their patients. That includes doctors, MDs, chiropractors, DOs, nurse practitioners, physicians assistants, eye doctors, dentists, and now veterinarians, because you could use them for your pets. So you think that they're going to go ahead and jeopardize their practice that they have vested hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars into, years and 12, 14, 15, 17 years of being in education and the practice, because the products don't work and they're recommending to their patients? They're not going to jeopardize that. They're not going to jeopardize that at all, because and 11 of these products are in the physician's desk reference. So they actually can be prescribed by a physician and covered by your HSA, because that's how important they are. But I want you to call me right here. Look, there's my number, 601-301-3503, 601-301-3503, savemyfreedom.us. So I want you to subscribe to the Substack, read the post. The post that I'm going to do today has all of these amazing statistics, plus some videos to watch. But I want you to call me, because if you're serious about it, that's the best way to do it. I'm like your coach. I'm your partner in this, because when you have that little push and you have someone to ask the questions to, when I had massive inflammation in my feet, I had the doctors that are on our team. I asked them, I said, what can I do? She's like, there's one product. It's the organic sulfur. That is amazing for inflammation. She's like, okay, I want you to start with the 1 scoop in the morning. Then I want you to do 1 scoop in the morning and 1 in the afternoon, and then 1 at night. Then I want you to get up to 2 scoops and do that. It was like 2 different feet. I have a picture and I will send it to you so you can go ahead and see that, JR. I didn't bring it with me today. Just remember I have it. It looks like 2 different people. So you need, unless you're an expert, right? But none of us really are. Then we ask the people that have the questions. So if I don't have the answer, I go ask an expert and I find the information, then I give it to you to make this efficient and effective. That's what we've done for 4 years. And you knew that when I've been on your show before. I want people to be able to maximize their time. I want you to use the highest and best use. There's my Rumble. I got to change that because it's a little dated. I'm going to freshen that up. So I will do that this weekend for everybody. And you can go ahead and watch this stuff on the Rumble channel. But it's important to make sure that you have the right support system in addition to the actual correct products that are, I don't want to say miraculous, but for me, they were life-changing and life-saving. So you have that, but you need the other part. Because if you're just going ahead and trying to piecemeal stuff or grabbing this or grabbing, it's not going to work. It's not going to work. You got to go all in. It's worth every penny. You do this Core Plus to start. If you are 40 or and over and you are on any medications or have any issues, you should do the Core Complete. It has the super fruits, which is this juices. I added that into mine. There's additional products, but I don't want to overwhelm anybody. I'm going to keep it simple. And you go ahead and you follow the system and you will see the results, and it'll literally change your life. So then you can change other people's lives. Because again, you cannot operate at your prime. You can't 2.0 yourself. You can't be the best that you are and show up for other people who need you most if you're sick, tired, toxic, broke, and dependent. Core Plus $297, the Core Plus $440, $640, and then there's a family pack, which is the next slide. So there's the Purifier is $728.10. And the family and business pack. So that family pack has everything. Okay. They have 2 of the Core Completes plus every single product. That's what I did. I did the big pack, and that literally, because I just infused myself with all their products. And that really is what got everything out of my system. But the
money back guarantee, right? Money back
guarantee. No questions asked. If you have any issues, and again, you're going to have somebody, you're not just buying the product and then you're on your own to try to figure it out. We've got videos to support everything, show you what they mean when you unpack the boxes. And if you want, as you're unpacking, call me. I will be on the phone with you to guide you through it, because in the beginning, it was a little overwhelming for me. I had all these products show up. I had boxes coming, and I'm like, this is a lot. So my friend who got me involved with this from high school, who I've known for, she was actually from elementary school, but for 40 years, she guided me through it. She's like, okay, this is what this is. This is what this is. And then once you actually go ahead and you got to make the decision that you want to do it, and you want to get healed, and you want to solve your problems, because you're here. You're here for a bigger reason. Everybody that's listening to this show, because you're watching this show as opposed to something else like Steve Bannon talking about nonsense and rah, 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 yelling and screaming at everybody. You're watching this show in the morning because you're destined for something else. And you need to figure out, if you don't know what that is, then figure that out, pray on it. But here's one of the things that I came across.
We're going to have to go in about a minute, Michelle. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm just going to wrap this up, because thank you. He knows where I'm going with this. This is what I want at the end of the day. When it's my time to go home, I want him to say, his Lord said unto him, well done, good and faithful servant. Matthew 25:23. So that's why I'm doing this now, because this is what I want at the end of when it's my time to go. And then I want him to say, come on in, because you did what I asked you to do. So I did it with the elections, destroyed my life. I fulfilled that point. Now I'm actually spreading good cheer. And I didn't mean to get emotional. It's just because when you're supposed to do what you're supposed to do, you should act like this, right? Because it's powerful and it's meaningful. But again, what I want everybody to do, your call to action today, because I want you to be able to show up for your family. I want you to be able to help your family. I want you to be able to show up for a community and show up for the people who need you most. And you can't do that if you're not feeling good. So I want you to go to savemyfreedom.us, and I want you to call 601-301-3503. That's my phone number, right? I want you to, you're going to join the movement, but for most part, this is for you, because I need you as a leader. Right? I need everybody listening who in this audience is a leader. And if you don't think you're a leader, you are, because you're watching the show. 601-301-3503. Go to savemyfreedom.us. I want you to look at the Substack and then call me, and let's get you on these products, because you're destined for something bigger, but you need to be prepared to do it. And this is how you're going to get there. So thank you.
Thank you, Michele Swinick. You want to hear more from her? 601-301-3503. It's just that easy. Just
very easy.
Thanks, Michelle. Mr. Anderson, take us to break, and then we come back. Got a couple items to add to this, and please stay tuned. We have another great guest coming up in the second hour, Darbi Boddy. I love the energy that we have in this program, folks. Regardless of the subject matter, the energy is very important. Physical, emotional. We touched on all of it this morning. And by the way, I'm being ornery here, but Michelle was talking about, being diabetic and how this would help. And a lot of folks have a lot of hate in them and how that would help. If you can invest the money, send this package to your liberal friends. And if it gets rid of the hate, hey, we have a cure for the problem in America today, right? I get the folks that I get to meet in my activism. It's just absolutely incredible. It's absolutely incredible. Mr. Anderson, any comments on our guest or any of our panelists want to comment? I guess not. I guess it's me out here alone. Okay. All right. Again, Darbi Boddy's coming up second hour. And not to do is to do, folks. Not
You
to
have
do
an event. You have an event scheduled tomorrow, right?
Yeah. Tomorrow, Sunday afternoon. Go ahead.
And you need some energy for that.
Yeah. Well, I was gonna. The great thing about the product is that I can eat all the fudge brownies and all the chocolate chip cookies and all the ice cream and whipped cream I want, right? I
don't believe that, but okay. You're talking about heaven, maybe.
Yeah. Maybe so. I was a good boy yesterday for a little while, and then I broke down, and here we are.
You went to a church thing, right?
Yeah.
They always have all those goodies out there on the plates.
Yeah, everybody wants to show off, and they want to show off with their sweets, and it's just crazy. I had the hamburger, and I had a little bit of salad, and I ate some fruit, and I figured, okay, that'll take care of it, because I promised myself I would not eat any sugar yesterday. I promised myself that, and I did okay up until about 7:30 after I got done eating. And I was looking at one of those chocolate chip cookies, and I go, nope, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to be strong. And about 15 seconds, or was it 15 minutes later? I don't know. Anyway, I decided, okay, I'll have one of those chocolate chip cookies. Well, the rest, the rest is history. Okay.
That just started it.
It's my body's going, hey, whoa, hold on a second. Did you see what else was up there? Did you see the apple pie and the ice cream?
I'll just take a little piece. Yeah.
And what about those fudge brownies? And what is this thing with caramel over that? What's that about? You better check that out.
Oh, I gotta go to the break room.
I'm embarrassed. So, I think I'm going to try the product. I am going to try the product. And I'm encouraged. And wow. Anyway, I want to thank Michelle for helping us out this morning. Great presentation. Do you have a 2-minute warning, by the way, Mr. Anderson?
Well, yeah, 3-minute maybe. I have a lot of them.
Yeah.
Here, you want a little comedy for a moment?
Yeah. Lighten it up.
Thank you for attending this meeting of canceled mascots. I'd like to welcome our first white member.
Howdy.
So they're not just canceling minority mascots anymore?
They're coming for all of us.
Since you're new, tell us your story.
Well, I was just minding my business, sitting next to a barrel looking folksy, and this white lady...
Yep, always a white lady.
A white lady said I'm racist. I mean, how? How?
So as I was telling y'all, this white lady says I'm just not connecting with the younger folk these days.
It's those millennials. They ruin everything.
Millennials are in their 40s now. I think the problem is Gen Z.
It's young people. They don't have respect for tradition.
What we like to remind ourselves here is just because certain people turned against us does not mean we're bad mascots. We are beloved.
I'll try to remember that.
So what's in the barrel? Is it crackers?
A barrel would be an odd container for crackers.
So are you the cracker?
Excuse me?
Then what is in there? Is it pickles?
It's just a barrel. I wouldn't worry about it.
Is it fish? Do you have fish in a barrel?
Is it cheese?
It's not rice, is it? Rice is my thing.
Can we move on?
I think that's a good idea. Now, for our next order of business...
What is in that barrel?
Hey, I want you to know 2 things. 1, I'm just a folksy guy who wants to help sell Southern-style cooking. 2, if you keep asking about the barrel, it's going to be the biggest regret of your life.
Did that barrel just move?
What? Oh, that's just dandy. The public has demanded me back. So long, losers. It's time for me and my barrel to go back to imprisoning the souls of the innocent.
That's nice. Maybe there's hope for all of us.
These universities are complicit in allowing conservatives to be harassed on campus. And what happens when you allow a university to harass conservatives and don't expel or don't take an action is what happened last week.
It is. And you know, on a broader level, the anti-Semitism. What's been happening at college campuses around this country is disgusting. It's despicable. And we've been fighting that. We've been fighting these universities left and right, and we're not going to stop. There's free speech, and then there's hate speech. And there is no place, especially now, especially after what happened to Charlie, in our society.
Do you see more law enforcement going after these groups who are using hate speech and putting cuffs on people so we show them that some action is better than no action?
We will absolutely target you, go after you, if you are targeting anyone with hate speech, anything. And that's across the aisle.
One of the most prominent Christian voices in the country was gunned down for expressing his political views and his faith. Then very soon, the right to freedom of speech will become a dead letter. If it's not already, the collapse of our constitutional order will follow. This should not need to be said, but the concept of hate speech should never be invoked by anyone, much less a conservative, and much less a conservative who's the highest law enforcement official in the United States of America. Hate speech is not a real thing. Hate speech is not a valid legal category, as Charlie Kirk himself argued. Hate speech is, if it's anything, it's protected speech, period. You can say hateful things. You have the legal right to say hateful things. You could say the most hateful, bigoted thing you want to say. And the government has no right to punish you for it. Now, there could be social consequences. There could be cultural consequences. Other people can decide that they don't want to associate with you anymore because you say horrible, vile things and revealed yourself to be a horrible, vile person. That can happen, obviously. But the government cannot punish you on the basis that what you said was hateful. You could say hateful things. You could say hateful things about me. You could say hateful things about Christians and conservatives. You can say hateful things about homosexuals. You can target anyone you want with your hateful speech. It is your constitutional right to do so. Again, there might be social consequences, but there should be no legal consequences. And the alternative, as we see in authoritarian regimes like the UK, Canada, or North Korea, is that legitimate political discourse will inevitably be labeled hate speech by the people in charge. If I recorded my podcast, this very podcast, in London, I'd be arrested by now. They're dragging comedians and single mothers to prison because they oppose transgenderism and open borders. That's what hate speech means in practice. It means suspending the freedom of expression. It means forcing people to say things that they know are false.
Keeping you informed. This is Last Call with BJ Edwards.
Speaking of hate speech, you're about to listen to 2 hours of opinion and entertainment supplied by Last Call Radio. We're not doctors, lawyers, politicians, professional journalists, nor do either of us hold a doctorate degree in anything. Not that that would make any difference, of course, our opinion. We only ask that you personally and or corporally not take our statements or those that we voice from others personal, nor do we recommend that you act on them as if they are facts, although they might very be just that, facts. But again, that's our opinion. You're not required to listen to, act on, or repeat anything that you hear today, nor assume that they are facts, and that any information we present is by no means meant to harm or threaten anyone. We need to play that video, Mr. Anderson, before we start the show, and then do our disclaimer. Boy, we are sure living in a very, very interesting time, interesting nation. Darbi Boddy is our guest for the second hour, and I really love what Darbi is doing. I love the fact that she is doing, and I think Darbi was kind of awoken by COVID, among other things. She's been the wife of a Marine for 21 years. She has 4 children, 3 dogs, and a snake. Very involved with the educational system, with our health system, all surrounding children. You know, I had a article I was going to read about Memphis and how the president's going to send military troops there and yada, yada, yada. But here's the deal. The root cause of high crime rates in cities like Memphis show that minors who grow up without a father in the house are significantly more likely to suffer from psychological development issues, live in poverty, drop out of schools, engage in school violence, abuse substances, and enter the juvenile justice system. Notably, Memphis has one of the highest rates of single-parent households in the country, and I could go on. This is natural family strong, folks. That is a father, a mother, children, and a lifelong committed monogamous relationship. Yet the government wants to enter into the picture and become the daddy. Darbi Boddy, come on down and welcome to Last Call.
Hi, BJ. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. How you doing, first of all? And I want to talk about some issues that you're involved. I love the fact that you dove into this and that you're there on the front lines. And if I encourage anybody, look for a Darbi Boddy, and you'll understand why, but look for a Darbi Boddy or a BJ Edwards or a Mr. Anderson or a Coach Dave Live. Look for those folks because they're out there and they need your support. Darbi, welcome to Last Call. I thank you for helping us out this morning.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. And I wanted to also touch on something you just mentioned. Did you know that when the father is the instigator for church and prayer in the household, the church, the family following in the father's footsteps are 80 to 90% higher versus when a mother is leading the family to church, which is about 17%. And then when the children are leading the family to church, it's about in the single digits of, everyone coming to Christ. So that father figure is definitely a huge importance in having a strong family.
And what you're touching on is one of our three stool steps, and that is the structure in the family. Yeah. Biblically, it's God, Jesus Christ, man, woman, children. That is a vertical relationship, folks. A child needs, first of all, their biological mother and their biological father, and we can get into that in detail, but they need them, but they get different things from the mother, they get different things from the father. And one of the things they look for the father is leadership. And folks, they know the difference between a man and a woman, regardless of how you identify, they know the difference. But that's a great point, Darbi. Go ahead, please.
Yes, thank you so much. So I guess what I can start doing is really talking about what led me to get involved, and then we can kind of go from there if that's okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so recently I heard someone say that everyone remembers that life-changing event that altered your path. And for me, that was COVID and then the 2020 election. As I witnessed and realized the oppressive overreach of the government and the medical industry, and this realization ignited this fire in me to really pursue truth. I listened to so many different podcasts, went down so many rabbit holes, and I armed myself with knowledge. And then I ignited this resolve in me to resist. And so really what happened, I was in Montana at the time. We were living there. We were supposed to have moved there with my husband, and we did, but technically he was in Afghanistan the whole time. So he really didn't get to enjoy Montana, unfortunately. But so I had joined this Christian group of parents and families, and on Friday nights we would meet together. And they really said, after about 2 weeks of COVID and the shutdown, the mom, who was a homeschooler for all 6 of her kids, said, Darbi, look at the propaganda. And so you associate propaganda with, Hitler and all of that and what was put out there against the Jews. But really, there was all this propaganda to make you to conform to these mask mandates. And so I really was in a state of mourning for about 2 weeks, because I'm like, wait, you can't trust the government, and these people are lying to us. And then, I started educating myself, and, at first I was wearing, a mask for about a month or so. And then I realized, that I can resist and I don't have to follow this mandate because it's not law. It's really just a suggestion. And so I started shopping at the local grocery store without a mask. And it was really quite awkward because I was looking down at the cart and I had my little daughter with me, and I would push the cart. I would hurry up and get my groceries and then get out of there. And eventually, courage is, you gain strength with the more courage you execute. And so I began refusing to comply with businesses who demanded I wear a mask and not be served. I moved to Ohio while my husband was still in Afghanistan because he was not able to fly due to COVID. He was gone for about 15 months. And so I moved our family to Ohio, where I was born and raised. And the whole way here, I refused to wear a mask. I was listening to podcasts about the COVID vaccine and how harmful it is, or it was. And so when I got to Ohio, I got connected with Candace Keller's Patriot America events. And so they gave out talking points on how these businesses are breaking the law by forcing us to wear these medical devices. And so a couple of experiences, I went to the UC emergency room for something. I can't remember what that was, but I refused to put on a mask, and they sent 3 security guards out there to try to intimidate.
Oh, give me a break.
Yes. And so I had a medical exemption, right? And so they, according to the law, they cannot ask me why I have a medical exemption. And I was restating all the laws that supported my decision to not wear a mask. And then there was another time I went to an ice cream parlor here in Westchester, and they refused to serve me unless I put on a mask. So I stood in the dining area and I kind of read again the rights that I had, and kind of disrupted the environment a little bit. And funny enough, they ended up closing down later because they weren't getting enough traffic because they were making everyone wear a mask. And then also during the 2020 election, we knew, many of us knew right away that the election was stolen. And so I had handed out slate cards on election day. I'd made a connection with a local elected representative here in our area. Actually, it was a trustee. And she had let me know about this Veterans Day event that was being held. And so I wanted to take my kids to this Veterans Day event. And as I was getting ready, these words were coming to my head about this election, and I started writing them down. And so I wrote them down on a piece of paper. And I remember walking upstairs and sitting down in one of the rooms up there. And I said, Lord, do you really want me to say this? And I didn't hear a no. So I parked up front. I went to I took my children to this event, and I waited till they were done. The person that was putting this event on ended up being one of the board members. I waited till she was done, and I approached and I kind of raised my hand. I said, can I say something? So she allowed me to come up there. And so I had my prepared statement, and I started reading, I was the wife of a Marine, and then I led into, what are we going to do about this fraudulent election? we cannot let them just take this election from us. We need to stand up. We need to be bold. We need to be brave. And that's when she looked at the two men to the right. One was another elected official and the superintendent at the time. They like step in my way and tried to stop me from speaking. And it was really kind of crazy, because I would think that with all of these veterans there who are obviously fought for our country, are concerned about this, theft of the election. And so I finished what I had to say and then I left, but it was just really a crazy event for trying to use my, First Amendment right to speak. And it was really a good topic. So, but anyway, so that kind of led me into some other groups around this, conservative groups, grassroots groups, really around Cincinnati area, surrounding areas. And I got into a chat room with Representative Gross, and she had mentioned in this chat room that some parents needed help at a school board meeting. And so I'm like, okay, well, I'm free. My husband again was in Iraq at this time, and actually he was in Iraq at this time. And so I was staying at home with my children and homeschooling. And so I attended this board meeting. And at the end of the board meeting, I heard the superintendent speak about potentially holding a vaccine clinic at the school. So the schools were trying to, enforce this vaccine and mandate people taking it. So I kind of spoke up at the back of the room and brought attention to my knowledge of the vaccine. And by the way, I was the only one in this room not wearing a mask. And so I came to the next board meeting and I had a presentation. I was going through the VAERS system, which is the vaccine injury reporting system. And I don't even know how I did this. It was definitely God. I somehow found instructions on how to look at the VAERS system. I collected the data. I created a report. And I also printed out pictures of the vaccine injuries, and I had it printed on a huge poster board at the local printing shop. And I went down about the facts of the COVID vaccine, and I prevented that vaccine clinic from being held. And then I was asked from there to really run for the school board. So, I ran on a very strong message, and I was elected. My message was to suss out critical race theory, and to remove it, to teach the truth in biology, that boys cannot be girls and vice versa, and to protect our girls from those boys entering their private spaces, and to teach the greatness of America, because we all know, and as we clearly can see over the past couple weeks events, that they are teaching socialism in our public education. So I was actually I received the highest amount of donations by $10,000. And I even helped out my fellow conservative. But later, I realized that I was really the only true conservative to stick to my campaign promises, and who really cared about the future of America and our students. So do you have any questions so far?
Darbi, here's what motivated me. And I was a very successful businessman 38 years ago, but I kept seeing the wrongs that were happening, and I saw them getting worse and worse and worse. Now, what happens to you and what happens to me is this: when you see this and hear this and experience this, and you got to do something to stop that noise. And you put yourself in position and at the ready, which is just incredible. Well, will there be more like you, Darbi? There'd be more like you. And you had 4 kids, a couple dogs, and the snake at the time as well.
Yes, actually, I had 2 cats, 10, but some of the coyotes locally here unfortunately got them.
Yeah. But it's commendable that you're doing something. And I don't understand why other folks don't have that fingernails on the chalkboard, because there is so much out there that is so wrong. And just the child abuse aspect of this alone, what we're doing to children with the vaccines, with the removing the parent control. A parent can't put themselves in a government-run school. Actually, they shouldn't put their child in a government-run school, but they can't put their child in a government-run school without submitting their medical care of their child to the school, to complete strangers, let alone the intellectual, but just the medical aspect of it is just absolutely crazy. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, I want to get more into this and what you're doing today, the key items that you see today, Darbi. Darbi Boddy from Ohio. Wow, what a lady. What a lady.
Faith, discussion, and so much more. Last Call with BJ Edwards.
The one thing that really stands out, and I would see this, and other folks like you and I would see this. From the beginning, it was clear that Darbi was the only conservative who truly cared about the students and the only one who stood firm on her platform. Folks, this isn't easy to do. In this day and age, most of us get attacks from our family, from our children, from our aunts, from our uncles, even from our parents, possibly. There's just so much indoctrination that has been going on, and it's continual, day in, day out, hour in and hour out. If you can get it in a grocery store, you can get it from the TV, obviously. You can get it from radio. It's continually the indoctrination that is going on in America. And it is like a 1984 scenario. No, they don't have the speakers going on the public yet, on the public terrain, but everywhere else you get it. All the news that you get is so prejudicial, I guess is the best term to use. And to stand up against that, Darbi, you were talking about the mask, and it's interesting because when I first started to take a chance, because of the propaganda, I'm going, okay, I'm not going to wear a mask, but I'm going to wear gloves. Okay, so I'm going to wear gloves. So for a couple of weeks, I wore gloves, and I'm going, you know what? I'm going to be daring here, and I'm going to take the gloves off. It's silly, but you have take a small step, folks. Take a small step. That's all we're asking. And then go from there. And I think there's just a cessation of events that'll happen that are going to confirm what you already know. So Darbi, what are you doing right now? I'm on a Friday meeting every now and then. What is happening in Ohio in our public schools with regards to children? What are they trying to do, and what are you trying to stop, and how are you trying to do it?
Okay, well, there's so many different things. The sexualization of our children through comprehensive sex education, social emotional learning, diversity, equity, inclusion, which is still there and just being renamed. So I can go through some pieces of legislation that we definitely support right now, if that works.
Yes, yeah, that's
okay.
Absolutely. And this legislation is happening because maybe not solely with your group, but with a group of people that are working with you. But people were standing up and saying, whoa, hold on a second. This isn't right. Something, okay. And then something needs to be done. Complaining, and we're very good as Christians and conservatives, very good at complaining. We major in complaining. When it comes to doing, that's somebody else's job.
Yeah. So I can kind of go through some things that I exposed first. So from the very beginning, have you heard of the Ohio School Board Association?
Ohio School Board Association?
The Ohio School Board Association. So
yes,
when you are an elected board member, you receive training, right? And this is for the state of Ohio. And no one knew this before, or if they did, they weren't speaking out. But so after I was elected, and about two weeks later, I went to the Ohio School Board Association, and I noticed that this organization was part of the indoctrination that was pushing diversity, equity, and inclusion, social emotional learning programs, And so 2 examples, I went to a session with George that was hosted by a George Floyd sympathizer. And she said, it's okay to feel guilty for being white. And then another session that I went to was the speaker said that we want equal outcome. We want our students to be equal when they graduate. Well, we're not equal. Some work harder than others. Some are gifted in certain areas. Some really just don't have the smarts needed, right, to do what that other person can do, but they're good at something else. So that's equity. And so from the very beginning, this is what made it clear that I was the only conservative, because I said, no, this is part of this indoctrination. I do not want to join the OSBA. And that was unheard of in the state of Ohio. So from that very beginning, I started getting intimidation and slander tactics were happening. So I exposed the OSBA. Another thing that's troubling our schools is this sexually charged environment. And when you have a superintendent like we had at the time, I exposed the textbook definition of a sexually deviant superintendent who said in his own words that him and his wife had pillow talk regarding drugging, molesting, and videoing minors. And then, yes, and then he advertised before a concert. He was in a hotel room and advertised for a strange man to join him and his wife on Craigslist to join in that hotel room. And so here's the thing, though. The board, they're feckless bobbleheads. They didn't do their job. They believe everything that the superintendent and treasurer says. And so this whole situation was handled inappropriately. I was the only one saying, no, we need to put him on administrative leave, because majority of the time, and too often, unfortunately, there are so many sexual inappropriate behaviors and incidents in not only Ohio, but just like Lakota recently in the past, 2 or 3 years, that they put these people on administrative leave right away. And so it was really a hot mess how this was handled. And, it was just disgusting. And the board failed to protect the students from, in my opinion, and in the opinion of many others, this sexually perverted man. So that's the sexual environment, and teachers are getting passed around from school to school because they're not. And there's actually a person that I'm in contact with. She's a national organization, and they in Texas are passing a law that when a license of an administrator or a teacher is revoked, there's actually, you can see the reason. For the state of Ohio, you can't see the reason a person has been revoked or terminated. And so they can go to another school, reapply, and they get passed around. So that's another issue that we have happening. And then really throughout all this, I exposed, when you call something to vote and how you vote really enlightens everyone on who you are. And so the rhino and the clown, I call him, that I ran with, they said publicly that they supported girls only private spaces and getting rid of DEI. But when I called these things to vote, they would not get rid of the diversity, equity, and inclusion department. And they would not make a vote to protect our girls. We had boys going to the girls' locker rooms. I had reports of girls holding, their potty because they were afraid to go to the bathroom, but yet they failed to do what they said they supported, and they failed to protect them when I brought resolutions to order. So, we don't need, even if they said publicly that they hate these things, their anger for me exposing some of these nefarious things that are happening in the school district, even like the OSBA, their hate and anger for me overrode their logical decisions, and it made them refuse to budge on topics that they said that they supported. So we don't need those type of people in elected positions. And this is exactly what Trump is dealing with, this hateful, vindictive, stuff going around. And then also the Ohio High School Athletic Association, again, right now is not protecting our daughters. Supposedly, from what I understand, we have 5 sexually confused students currently competing on varsity girls teams. And so I exposed the OHSAA. Number one, they had a DEI summit for coaches. It was their one and only, because I went there, I exposed it. They were talking about microaggressions and, all this, DEI stuff. So I exposed that, and that stopped that. And then, and the last thing that I'm going to discuss is that I was able to remove the diversity, equity, and inclusion program at Lakota. It's called Lodi. And really, it was just by asking tough questions like, why does one of the administrators, why did they post on Twitter at the time the support for Black Lives Matter? And then within this, I exposed this racist book reading on restorative practices in education that the union was pushing our DEI people to really potentially make all of the principals read. I have emails from the teachers union who partnered with this administrator, and she was pushing these DEI initiatives and showed this woman how to apply for grants regarding diversity, equity, and inclusion. And then actually I have one more too. This is another important thing because we're going through this right now. I just recently saw another school board member tried to enter into a school. And so I visited, I went to the front, I had my badge on, I went in the front, and I visited some buildings, and I did not need an escort. I'm a board member. I just wanted to see the environment. And I was able to recognize and expose the sexualization that they're pushing even on our children, K through third grade, this LGBT culture. They had these little signs that said, "All are welcome here," written by kindergartners on the wall saying, "All are welcome here." Why are you putting that? Why would they not be welcome here? What kind kids aren't thinking about at that age? Oh, I'm not welcome in this classroom. And then the LGBTQ safe space stickers were on, the walls in the high school and middle school. And so again, the question is, so if the child is safe here, what teachers are not safe, and why are they not safe? And why are only specific teachers a safe space? And then within that, I saw a DEI altar. And again, I saw this by entering the schools, but this resulted in more intimidation, where I was delivered a fake trespassing letter from the superintendent, who conveniently had it delivered by an off-duty officer in uniform in a police car. And with a records request, there was actually no record of him delivering this to my house, by the way. But they called the local news station to partner and arrive at the same time as this police officer so they could put that on the evening news. And then after, sorry, go ahead.
Absolutely amazing. The things that it's something that you all need to understand with regards to government-run schools. They're not run by superintendents. They're not run by school board members. I'm not dishing you at all, but they're run by unions. And you see consistency. I don't care whether it's in a small town in Idaho or a large town in Columbus. It's all the same. The push is the same. They're indoctrinating children socially, emotionally. Okay. They're indoctrinating them. And it's up to us as the public. We support the public. One of the things I love about what's happening right now, especially in Ohio, is a move to finance competition to public schools. In other words, take the money that you're per child per public school, take that money and go to another school of your choice. And it drives schools crazy. They make fun of them, but here's the deal. They're just asking the schools to be competitive. If you want the money, be competitive. And if you're going to be competitive, I saw another article where the amount teachers are getting raises and the scores are going down. Now, why is there a relationship here somewhere? But it's what Darbi is running into is a behemoth. It is a behemoth. And the tentacles are all over the place, and she's fighting those tentacles. But she can't do this without our support, we the people. That's the key. Darbi's doing the best she can, but she can't be doing this alone forever. She has to have we the people behind her. This is Do Radio, folks. I bring people on like Darbi to let you know that, number one, There are people out there that are doing, you can be successful, but also that you need to be in the game. You cannot sit back and drink your favorite adult beverage and watch this happen, because it's going to be a home game for you, whether you like it or not. It's coming to your house, and you better get out there and play that away game as versus trying to play it at home, which many of us are trying to do now. Darby, we're going to take a break. When we come back, I want you to tell us how we can help you. I'm clamoring at the folks to help you. So be specifics. What do you need? And let's take that break, Mr. Anderson. BJ Edwards along with Mr. Anderson. This is your last call. Christian Talk Radio with a sting, where you can see the difference.
One of the most prominent Christian voices in the country was gunned down for expressing his political views and his faith. Now, in the wake of Charlie's murder, I said something that I still believe is true. I still very much believe, which is that on the right, and only on the right, now is the time for unity. And I say only on the right because that's the only place where there can be unity. There cannot be unity with the left. It is literally impossible. They want us dead. They want to kill us. And even if they didn't, we have nothing in common in terms of our values and beliefs and priorities. We have no common ground at all. None. We cannot agree on even what universe we live in.
And some of them died for that freedom. But I could not be a preacher worth my salt without quoting the scripture. And so Psalm 133 said, how beautiful it is when God's people dwell together in unity. And that is my plea tonight. Unity. Unity. And I want to tell you what unity is, but before that, I'm going to tell you first what it is not. Unity is not uniformity. Unity is not conformity. Unity is not a loss of individuality. It is not glossing over the truth. And it's not winking at falsehoods. Listen to me, please. The unity that the Bible tells us about and talks about is not the unity at any price. It is not the unity in compromising of the truth. It's not the unity of going along to get along. But it is the biblical unity is a unity of purpose. Biblical unity is a unity of direction, unity of common commitment to the truth. And that is why the psalmist said, how good and pleasant it is when God's people unite together. That means that we have the same conviction, that we are cut out of the same cloth. I remember as a young boy, I had older sisters, and I remember my mother saying to them, they used to knit all the time, and they would say, don't knit wool with cotton. It ruins the garment. And we are cut of the same cloth here tonight. And that is why I am pleading with you. We are committed to the founders' principles. That is our unity. We're united in the founders' principles, namely that our freedom comes from God, not from the government. And please, somebody inform Senator Warner of Virginia that our liberty comes from God, not from the government. And our freedom fosters faith, and faith produces freedom.
Last call with BJ Edwards. Real talk about real life.
We were speaking with Darbi Boddy. Darbi has had the opportunity to serve on the board of Protect Ohio Children. She's a Moms for America leader in Butler County, great organization, and a member of the Northeast Republican Women's Club, dedicated homeschool mom, currently in her 5th year of homeschooling her daughter, and also the mother of a Boddy Academy graduate from the class of 2024. Boddy Academy, huh? I love that. Hey, I've got something you can help me out with, and I want you to get into how we can help you out. I'm coming up in October. There is an official celebration, LGBTQ History Month. And I talked to my local school, And in schools, there seems to be an official calendar and then an unofficial calendar. And on the unofficial calendar, there's a lot of things there that if parents knew about it, they would not be very happy about it. But I checked with my school, and I said, are you celebrating the LGBTQ History Month? And there was some sensing some obfuscation in terms of who I was talking with. Dr. Somebody, I can't remember what her last name was, but nor would I repeat it on the air. But I'm going, there's something wrong here. You're not saying yes, you're not saying no. You just kind of leave me, and I'll get back with you, sort of thing. So here's what I left with her, Darbi. I said, okay, would you consider, you have all these agendas on your calendar, would you consider an official celebration of the natural family, one biological born woman, lifelong committed monogamous relate? Would you consider that? Boy, silence, like, uh-oh. I don't know how to answer that question other than we'll have to get back with you. And that was Monday of this week, and they have not got back with me yet. But I like to put positives against what's happening there as versus complain about something. Say, okay, if you're doing this, why not do that? And by the way, the state of Ohio is considering House Bill 262 declaring the period from Mother's Day through Father's Day as a celebration for Ohio, make it a law. Which is we're loving this. Love to see what's going to happen here. First week would be Mother's Week, and then Children's Week, Grandparents Week, Extended Family, Aunts and Uncles Week, and then leading up to Father's Day week. So anyway, that's what we're requesting. And I said maybe the month of November or December might be a good month for this. So we'll see what happens here. So first of all, am I doing the right thing with regards to this, Darbi? How do I handle this?
I don't know if there's any hope for the public education. Really, if they have an agenda, they're bound to determine to execute it. I mean, you can elect conservative board members. You can get the students involved. Look at their policies. See what policies they're breaking by doing this. Potentially, look at Ohio Revised Code. Look and see at really get some Christian. Maybe get your church to go and get like 10 to 20 people from your church and speak at public comment and put pressure on the school board for the family, Natural Family Month. And Linda Harvey, I know you're familiar with her, but she wrote a great article for Mission America on this. So I recommend checking that out as well.
Yes, ma'am. I appreciate that. The church has been a problem. I called churches, I mentioned earlier on the program, trying to get folks to celebrate the life of Charlie Kirk. And I called over a dozen churches locally here, and none of them are interested in doing that at all.
Yeah, the church that I was attending, actually, I've been struggling with for a little bit because there's been some incidences where they haven't really spoken publicly about it. And so this last Sunday was my last church there, or my last time at that church, because they said nothing about Charlie Kirk. And Charlie Kirk has said several times, if your church doesn't speak about this Sunday, leave your church. So you know what, Charlie, I'm listening to you. I'm leaving my church because they have failed multiple times. I give them the benefit of the doubt, but no more. I'm done. So.
Make the church great again.
Yep, absolutely. And that was something Charlie said.
Yep. I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. I went after the church for a good 10, 12, 15 years, trying to get them to speak out against the, as a matter of fact, we went to a church here locally, and we stood outside the church for 9 months with signs, help us save babies, Christian men engage the culture, help us save marriages. And the best the church could do was to take us to court and get a restraining order. So I don't know. Maybe we have to redefine the church. I don't know. I don't know what the answer to that question is.
Well, there's good pastors out there. Pastor Jensen Franklin from Georgia. We used to attend his church. Really good one. And then I'm trying to find a local church here. And I posted on my personal page whose pastor spoke about Charlie Kirk. And there's several local churches here that spoke about Charlie Kirk. So we went to one already, and then we're going to go to another one this Sunday, and we're going to see kind of what fits our family and whatnot. But if you're okay, since I know our time is nearing, I would like to kind of finish, give you a takeaway from what I've learned, if you don't mind.
Okay, Norm, you want to wait, or you want to?
Yes.
Sure. Yeah, okay. Let Darbi go ahead.
So really, I wanted to know that, I wanted to kind of put this out there that, my takeaway from everything that I've been experiencing is, especially in this public education system, is that, I was looking for this indoctrination and I found it, obviously, but I also found that the teachers and the administrators who are part of this indoctrination are not just lefties, but they're also Republicans. Yes, they love America. Yes, they support the Constitution and are possibly even Christian. They don't like what's happening to our country. But as a teacher and an administrator, they can't see the wickedness and they can't see the harm in what they are doing, or they don't have enough cojones to speak up and stop teaching it. So they refuse to recognize some of these policies and systems that I've exposed and Protect Ohio Children has exposed, really. And they are afraid to admit that these are bad policies and systems in place, because if they admit that they are, then they are admitting that this nefarious pedagogy is partly on them and that they're participating in this. And it means that they are part of the problem and part of the indoctrination. And so in their minds, what they are doing has to be justified, or they are part of the problem.
It's a great point. It's a great point. I'm going to bring Norm in. Norm, go ahead, please.
Well, first, we need about 2 million Darbys across America. God bless you.
Amen.
For what you're doing. One thing that, if people are going to get involved and fight, that there's a basic thing that Jesus talked about that you need to understand. And it's John 8:44, where Jesus said, he said, you are of your father, the devil, and your will is to do your father's desires. Said he was a murderer from the beginning, and he does not stand in truth because there's no truth in him. And when he lies, he speaks out of his own character because he's a liar and the father of lies. See, and I write about this all the time. Every person on planet Earth has a spiritual father, and it's either the Lord Jesus or it's the devil himself. And so many of these people, given time, we take on the characteristics of our spiritual father. And so, and whether you're a pastor or call yourself a Christian, or whether you're working in the schools, if your spiritual father is the devil, you're going to do his desires. And that's just, as the verse said, he was a murderer from the beginning. That's why they support abortion. It's what their spiritual father promotes. And again, Jesus said there's no truth in them. So we need to understand that, and we need to be prayed up before we go to those meetings. And I know you understand that, Darby, and because I could hear that in what you were saying. But we need to, and one of the things I try to ask people is, who's your daddy? And what? Who's your spiritual father? Well, I don't know. Well, and that it kind of opens the door, to because everybody's got one, whether they want to believe it or not. So anyway, God bless you for what you're doing.
Thank you so much, Norm. And I can tell you that my spiritual relationship with the Lord Jesus Christ had never been so, I've never been so close to him as I was, running for the board and hereafter, because I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength, because I could not do this on my own strength. I could not come up with some of the things that I came across or just even giving presentations, right? As someone who's not a very good public speaker or has never done that in my life, getting up in front of people, I always pray before I do that. I get up in the morning, at least 30 minutes to an hour before I start my day. I spend time in the Word and in prayer. And if by chance I don't get a chance to do that, which is very rare, my day is not as good as it could have been if I would have covered my family and everything in prayer.
Do your children see you pray?
I'm sorry?
Do your children see you pray?
Yes.
Oh.
Darby, there was
an
an old monk that prayed 2 hours a day unless he had a really, really busy day, and then he prayed 3.
Betty, go ahead. Thanks, Norm.
Yeah, I just want to thank you for what you're doing, and thank your husband for being in the service. I appreciate him very, very much. I know the mask deal with the VA was a treat going to the clinic. So what I would do is I'd go in with it under my chin. They wouldn't say anything. Then when I sat down, I put it over my eyes until they called my name. Because it's like, what are you doing? Well, I need to breathe, and you can't breathe with these, and they're not helping you anyway. So I might as well just rest my eyes, And then Boscov's was the same thing. I don't know if you've ever heard of Boscov's. We have Boscov's here in St. Clairsville. And I swear that one woman, if she saw me coming, she was already on the mic saying, everybody needs to put on their mask. And I'm going, yeah, I'll be 5 minutes. I'll be back. And I would just keep walking. So, yes, I just wanted to thank you for standing up for that and then standing up for our kids at our schools. You know, this issue 1 that got passed when we tried to get it unpassed. You know, I was standing out in the streets there trying, and the evil that supported that was mainly the teachers union at by our school. It was sad. I mean, so thank you for doing that. We'll keep fighting behind the scenes with you.
Oh, thank you, Betty. Thank you, Betty. I appreciate it.
Martin, go ahead. Martin, go ahead.
Darby, we got to meet in the Greene County Tea Party meeting, young lady. I look a little different than when we met. President Tom Havlin had me kind of be incognito in case anybody from the other side wanted to create disturbance during your presentation. But I just want to say I am so proud of you and your husband. Thank you so much for all the work that you have done and the litigation that you're doing. I don't know if you remember our conversation was Darby, how are you financing this? And BJ, I would love to, do you have a Give, Send, Go or anything that we can help support your financial burden? Because I believe that especially the family, and when I say the family, Darby, I'm talking about the Christian family. You, young lady, I didn't get to tell you this that night, but you are exactly what I've been asking churches to do forever. Take that money and instead of putting it into a brick and mortar building expansion campaign, we fund folks like you, Darby. We fund Christian attorneys that would come out and sue the school boards if they're teaching our kids sexual stuff that parents like myself, I have 2 children, Darby, in the public schools, and I don't want that filth going into my kids. Now, they're older, they're both teenagers, they're both in high school, but from what I gathered, even in my local school district, they're still allowing that stuff. So if you have a Give, Send, Go, something where I personally will donate to it, Darby, I can't speak on behalf of my brethren, but I would love to help you, and I would love if there's any pastors out there, okay, do you want to be part of the salt and light and get this evil salted away, then we, the church, can do it. We have a lot of money to help support people like Darby. I would love for you to come alongside of me and put some money in that war chest to help support women like this who has a backbone, who knows what she's talking about, and maybe it'll draw others in, Pastor, to what Darby's doing. Because I think down deep, Pastor, you want this stuff to stop. Well, then support Darbi Boddy.
Thanks, Martin. Darby. Is there a place they can go to?
Yes. Yeah. Thank you, Martin, for bringing that up. I really appreciate your support and your willingness to, donate your hard-earned money. And so right now I'm in the process of transitioning my website from boddyforlakota.com, but you can go there and donate. And this would really help me to continue fighting and working to change. There's some policies right now. If I have time, let me know to go over them. But yeah, I would appreciate your support and anything that you can give at boddyforlakota.com. And then there's a donate button at the top.
That's BODDI for LAKOTA.
BODDY FOR for Lakota, LAKOTA. So boddyforlakota.com, BODDY.
For Lakota.com. Let's see if I got that up there right.
And Lakota is, so when I was on the board for Lakota School District, that's where I was on the board. So.
Is that correct? What we have on the screen?
Yes, it looks like it. Yes. Thank you.
Okay. Very important. Anything else we can do for you? Yeah. Get off the couch, get out and get active, right?
Absolutely. You know, I was tired of listening to these silly podcasters complaining and whining about everything, but nothing was changing. So I said, you know what? I'm going to start doing something. And I got involved. And central committee members, if you're not a central committee member, look that up. I think we really need people to, and this is like a little area that you live, right? And you have people that walk doors and knock on the doors and tell people kind of who, as a Republican or conservative or even a Democrat, but the Democrats I don't see them doing this in my neighborhood. But you are really letting everyone know and getting them out to vote, but also you get to vote on who the party endorses in your like West. I live in Westchester. So in Westchester, these central committee members, there's a huge amount of them, like 200 and something, I think. And then they support who is endorsed by the Republican Party.
And Lakota is a school district?
Yes.
Okay. Somebody asked a question, what is Lakota?
Yes. Yep.
Anything that we should forewarn our enemy about that you're headed towards?
Well, do you want me to give you a couple of bills that we need?
Absolutely. These are Ohio bills. Yes, please go ahead.
Okay. So right now, HB 413, which is for political subdivisions to participate in providing information on expenditures for the Ohio checkbook. This is by Young and Peterson. This session, HB 413, we need to support that. Right now, there is a law that was put in place in 1989 for outpatient services for minors without knowledge or consent of a parent or guardian. So if you're 14 years of age or older and you need a mental health professional, they can provide outpatient services without the parents knowing. So right now, if you have a 15-year-old, they can go see a counselor or a mental health professional 6 times or for a month, which one time really enough damage is done. But we need to repeal that bill. And we've been Protect Ohio Children has been talking to some legislators, but they still haven't had the courage to repeal that. And the other thing is this year, DeWine put in place this thing called Mobile Response and Stabilization Services. And this is government overreach. And this is really allowing any child now, 14 years of age or older, without a parent, to call this mental health number in a crisis, whatever crisis that is, and they could potentially remove this child. They could potentially bring children's services or the police to your house because this child is claiming they're going through a crisis. And this opens the door to all kinds of different things where they can remove it. And they said even in this service, they can remove the child temporarily from the house. And good luck getting them back once they remove them. Another thing, so this is repealing 5122.04, which is an ORC. And then HB 556, this was last session, but we need this bill to be brought forward to this session. And this bill would allow teachers and librarians to be charged with a second-degree felony for pandering obscenity to minors, because we have a lot of books. There's books that are talking about inappropriate things at inappropriate levels. And right now, librarians, health and biology teachers, and art teachers can distribute depictions of sex, nudity, and bestiality. And so if we this bill, HB 556, which was Adam Matthews' bill last session, would actually allow us to charge them. And then the other thing is, and Vivek just spoke about this recently, and it has kind of some connection with me, but as an elected official, we have, of a school board, we have the right to carry out the wishes of those who were elected, who elected us, by procuring a true, unfiltered picture of what is going on in the public school system, and really to vote accordingly for the superintendent's contract. But if board members who vote on this contract can't observe the students' learning environment, and how are they supposed to hold this administration accountable with that regular horse and pony show that they get at board meetings? I mean, when I did visit the schools at the very beginning, the superintendent took me around. I saw an assignment regarding teenagers and activism and pushing this agenda. And when I asked for the assignment, he, gave me the wrong one. So it's time for our board members to stop being feckless bobbleheads and to do their research. And I've written a bill on this actually. And so I plan on communicating this soon to legislators in this area.
Darbi Boddy, you're absolutely amazing. And I'm please let this encourage you. You don't have to do everything that Darby's doing. Just step in and take a little bite, take a little nibble. And I can guarantee you right now that if you're of a righteous nature, you're going to get awful hungry. And Darby, myself, other folks out there, we need your support. We need your help. Love to have it come through the church, but that doesn't mean you can't do it without the church. Set the example for the church, especially the men. We need more men in this battle, folks. Much more men. I don't know why we're setting back, but we need to start with the family. We need to start taking leadership role in the family, in the church, and finally in society. As goes the family, so goes the church. As goes the church, so goes the nation. You can't get it there with a broken family. Men, take that leadership role. You know what needs to be done. And get into the battle. I've learned more about, are you going to win every time? No, you're not going to win every time. And I joke around about this, Darby, but I lose most of the time. I very seldom win. I lose most of the time. But the advantage of that is that every time I win, I don't learn a whole lot. Every time I lose, I learn a lot.
Right.
Pain is an incredible teacher, but you don't want, well, okay, I'll just let all this happen and I'll let all this pain come to me. That isn't the way you want to do this, folks. You want to avoid that kind of pain. If not for yourself, for your children, for your grandchildren, for your nieces, for your nephews. That's the key. Our adversary wants to consume our children, wants to destroy our children. And that we have to step in. We really do. Closing comments, Darby, and thank you so much for helping us out today.
Yes, thank you so much. And I just to kind of capitalize on what you just said, I actually rejoice in failure, and I rejoice, especially when my kids, I'm teaching them lessons and they fail. I'm like, great, that's a lesson. My daughter learned one the other day. She was arguing with us, my husband and me, and we had to. And she was very grounded and stood firm in what she said, but she was wrong, and she got punished for arguing with us. And so now she learned a lesson, right? But if you want to find out more about Protect Ohio Children, please go to protectohiochildren.net. We have a ton of resources on there. If you want to see examples of diversity, equity, and inclusion, comprehensive sex education, we have monthly to quarterly webinars that you can sign up for. Marsha Metzger does some really good webinars exposing social emotional learning. And actually, artificial intelligence, guys, is actually monitoring your children right now on their devices, and is creating a summary based on what they're looking at and their eye movement and the camera on whether or not a child is socially indoctrinated or culturally competent, is what they call it. And then they can send that to other people in the school district and target your child. So we have some information on that. So protectohiochildren.net, and you can find us on YouTube. Another thing I want to let people know about conservative school board members, OSBA is bad. National School Board Leadership Council.com, National School Board Leadership Council.com. Kelly Coles, she's extremely passionate and strong about this and her understanding about what is happening today. She was also a conservative board member. And actually, I should say it's Dr. Kelly Coles, because she has a doctorate. And so that's one tool that I use as a school board member. And then also momsforamerica.us. What I like about Moms for America is it really focuses on the role as a woman. God intended us to be a certain role in the family, and also how to teach and educate our children really on, we did this 12-week class on teaching our children how great America is. And there's a ton of resources online on how to teach your children about America.
Darbi Boddy, thank you very much today. I got your site up there for for folks to want to give to you. Thank you very much for what you're doing. And God bless you. God bless your family. We're out of here, Mr. Anderson.
We got to go. We got to go.
Yep.
Thank you. Thank you, Darbi.
Thank you so much.
Join us next week for Last Call with BJ Edwards.